working to advance environmental justice is now a priority, one of 7 for Administrator Jackson. It's called Expanding the Conversation on Environmentalism and Working for Environmental Justice. EPA has created many opportunities. Administrator Jackson says that EPA must make environmental justice a part of every decision it makes. And it has created many programs and many new policies around environmental justice, but it's also created opportunities for youth to work on these issues, like something called the Eco Ambassador Program, where EPA supports young people from communities to work on environmental justice in their own communities. Besides EPA, I think at this point, 40 states have some kind of policy or program around environmental justice. And 4 states, California, South Carolina, New York, and Connecticut, have even passed legislation on environmental justice. Today, I think I would say, it's fair to say, hundreds of universities teach about the issue regularly. Places like University in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, many of the historically black colleges and universities. And the University of Michigan actually has a doctoral program now on environmental justice. So I think that if you want to advance environmental justice and serve communities, you can find many opportunities in places like the law, science, medicine, transportation, housing, urban design, just to name a few. Because in fact, Warren County, the message from Warren County 30 years ago and here today is that the environment is related to everything. And I think this is something we should really feel good about, because besides the opportunities, the challenge today is ever greater. And we need young people with a commitment and passion for social justice to pursue a career dedicated to cleaning up, preserving, and revitalizing the environment. This is an area that's more pressing today than it was 30 years ago. And issues that's been mentioned before, like clean water, like hydrofracking, like climate change, like sustainable and equitable development and health, overcoming or eliminating health disparities are just a few of these challenges. So this is an area that you can make a difference. This is an area that we need you to make a difference in. I think that the new leaders that are coming forward, the next generation of new leaders on environmental justice is really the true legacy of Warren County from 30 years ago. Thank you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I guess I'm the only advocate for the landfill on the program. Here I was in 1979 in Wilkes County helping 12 local units of government with the solid waste management program. I had a MS degree from NC State in soils engineering and physical chemistry with an expert in freight and transport of materials and soil systems. So guess what? I get a call saying, Bill, we got a problem. Come to Raleigh. So I left those beautiful mountains, Mount Mitchell, Linville Gorge, all those beautiful things that the boy from Nash County just loved to see. I felt like a tourist up there. So I got to Raleigh, and I found out what it was like to kick a hornet's nest. More like killer bees. What we did, we went to EPA and said, leave it there. We had research that showed if we put carbon and tack it with asphalt, it'll stay there and not move. EPA denied it, federal law. We went to the 12 counties and said, we want to pick it up and put it in your landfill. At first, they agreed, and they found out what it was. They said no. Not only no, but heck no. So here we were, one option. We tried to get it incinerated. There was no permit from EPA that allowed PCBs to be incinerated in a solid form. We tried everything to keep from putting this in landfill. We were directed by EPA that we had to pick it up and we had to put it in a landfill. So we tried. So what did we do? We advertised. 10 to 50 acres, anybody's got it, it's got to have clay soils. So we looked at 93 sites, we bored 10, and I took the 10 sites and ranked them based on their soil characteristics. Liquid limit, percent passing number 2 in sieve, all those technical things that means nothing to nobody in Warren County at all. And I don't blame them. So I said, Warren County is number 1 site. Person County had a little bit better soil, but when we bored down, we hit rock at 12 feet and 2 of those bored. So it came out. So Warren County came out number 1. People talking about people of color were selected. Let me tell you what, personally, I selected a site, got the site permitted, and the only thing I looked at was the color of red clay and how much you had and would it meet the standard. And it did. So we selected Warren County. And that was the only reason it was selected. Now, once we got it selected, I designed a conceptual design that went way beyond the standards for protection in a PCB landfill. Liners under the bottom, plastic not required, we put it in. Collection system under the liner, so if it leaked, everything failed. We still had a way to collect it. We put that in. We put every protection mechanism in there we could. Clay liners, everything. We had a system that if it leaks, we could take it out, pump it on top of the landfill, let the grass eat it after we carry it through charcoal, everything. We had 5 contractors that came in and said, okay, we want to contract this site. And here's a war story. So I picked them up in a van from Raleigh, 5 executives in their nice clothes going out to bid on this landfill strike, $3.8 million job. So I stopped in Lewisburg at Murphy's Restaurant. Buffet. I know it's not there anymore. So here we were, and they had chitlins out there on the buffet. So I picked it up, I got me a big old spoonful. And these guys, what is that stuff? I said, that's North Carolina barbecue, the best part of the whole hog. Every one of them reached in there and put them a tablespoonful of chitlins on the plate. They got up there and I put some good pepper vinegar on that, eating them things. I started smiling, boy, it was good. This guy picked it up, took one bite, and said, oh my God, what is this? I told him, and all of them got up and left, went back to the van. I thought you'd appreciate it. Another eating story. I've had 2 meals in this church. The best potato salad I ever put in my mouth came from this church. So I went up and asked, who made this potato salad? And they pointed out this elderly lady. Went up, she said, I got 2 secret ingredients. She told me what they were. I went back home, gave that recipe to my wife, and I swear she makes the best potato salad on the face of this earth. So that's one benefit. During the whole process of protesting, I was on the other side of the fence. I had a job to do. Get that landfill constructed, get that picked up, get that put in, get that done. I did it to the very best of my ability, and to be quite honest, I was quite proud of it. Now, not a soul agreed with me. I would come to Warren County, meeting after meeting after meeting with the County Board of Commissioners, 12 o'clock at night, and somebody asked me, Bill, as much as they hate you up there, aren't you afraid to go to Warren County? Nope. I have never, ever been treated with anything but respect and courtesy. In vehement disagreement, that courtesy and respect was there. And boy, was I glad. But again, the people in Warren County, even though they were protesting, they were as respectful to me, the advocate, the opposite of what they wanted. I was there. I got called a lot of names, everything but a fine, upstanding Christian boy. But there was respect there. Now, the Apostle Paul was said to have had a thorn in the flesh. Well, I've had a bee or a briar in my bonnet. Now, Dolly, I would say a briar in my butt, but we in church, so I won't say it. Dolly Birdwell, on that committee, I have never seen an advocate who was not technical and didn't claim to be technical. But I'd sit there and say, let's do this with biological decontamination. Worked, spent $9,000, showed that 30% of that PCB had decomposed in the landfill. I said, boy, another 5 or 6, maybe 10 years, we'd have it all done, cost $2 million. That's what feasibility means, cheap. Dolly says, I don't care whether it costs 15 cents or $15 million, it takes too long. So we passed a resolution. Any technology you select cannot take more than 3 years. So there went my dream right down the sewer. We go up to Beltsville, Maryland, to look at a process called hydrogen dechlorination. It works great, except for one thing, it produces hydrogen. And somebody asked me, said, Bill, what happened to the Hindenburg? It blew up. I said, okay, said that's too safe. Dolly and that group worked, I'll say, religiously. Talking about, Eva Clayton talking about persistent, over and over and again and again and again, and finally it sunk in. This process is not a technical process, it's a political process. So I went back to Governor Hunt and said, okay, get the money. And lo and behold, a combination of Mr. Balance particularly, worked in the General Assembly, and Henry Langster worked in the General Assembly, that money was available. That is the biggest miracle to me of the whole thing. How can you get $18 million? Example, not one penny was allocated to me to take care of that landfill. Everything we did, we had to take money out of our pocket to be spent on other things. We had to do it on that landfill. I went to Governor Martin when he's first elected. Said, look, I got no budget. I got water in the landfill. I want to take the stuff out of the landfill. I want to make sure this landfill stays safe. He said, that's Jim Hunt's dump, not mine. I'm not giving you one penny. But then he said, if it appears that it's going to hurt any individual in Warren County, if you think it's leaking, you let me know and we will respond. So the money would have been there if we could have showed definite evidence that something was wrong, but it was not. Now let me end with this, and I'll end it with the paraphrase of Dr. King. And it goes like this. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last, free at last. No more PCBs. It's gone forever. Who gets credit? Warren County gets credit. Warren County, you have my respect, my admiration. It started out as one of an advocate position, antagonistic, and it's come to affection. Thank you, and I look to the future, I ain't got no concern. Warren County is as strong as any county and group of communities I've ever seen in my life. Hang in there and just keep on doing what you're doing, and you'll be okay.
And I remember you.
Good morning still. Good morning. My name is Henry Lancaster, and I used to be the legislative liaison for the North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources. And in that capacity, I had an opportunity to work on a landfill issue on Eufaula Street in Fayetteville. And at that time, there was a community of people that lived so close to a landfill, they could take their trash to their backyard and throw it into the landfill. So we were able to negotiate an arrangement with a waste-to-energy company to relocate that entire community, pick their houses up and move them to another place. So I was proud of that. Then I heard about an issue in Warren County. So I came down to a community meeting and was at a church downtown. And there was another representative from my office there kind of trying to run things. And I just sat back and listened. And that was my introduction to the power of the people of Warren County. Now, there's a saying out there that government has a responsibility to do for people that which they cannot do for themselves. And I think we are constantly in the struggle of determining what that is. In the case of this landfill, government decided to do something, but it underestimated and undervalued the people it impacted. Now, yes, Bill Meyer did do the scientifically correct thing, but it's not all about science. It is also about people. I came to Warren County and sat down with Dolly Burwell. We had lunch together, and I got an earful. So then we decided to have a series of meetings. We met 2 Thursdays a month at the courthouse in the library, the old courthouse, in the library downtown, for 4 years. Why? Because the first thing you have to do if you're going to solve a problem is understand the culture in which it exists. And then you have to communicate. In order to communicate, you have to speak the same language. In order to do what? Build trust. And there was not a lot of trust in that room. Now, it was my responsibility to report back to Jonathan Howes, the Secretary for the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the progress being made with that group. Well, there were a lot of things going on, and I quickly came to understand that this still wasn't a priority. But nobody told me to stop. And so we put together a plan, and Jim Warren is here as one of those individuals who came from outside of the county that met with us on those Thursdays to look at getting the resources necessary to make it happen, to meet the promise that was made that if someday, if there's a technology that will detoxify this landfill, that it will be used to do that. And so we met and we talked, we met and we listened, we met and we argued. We got to a point where that first $100,000 came to the table and the technical work was done to identify what the technology would be. Then the real challenge came, and let me tell you how naive I really was. Because in 1982, I didn't almost live in the United States. I lived in Anchorage, Alaska. So I didn't know what was going on in Warren County. It was totally unknown to me. So I went to then Senator Frank Balance and said, Senator, this landfill is in your district. It did not sound foolish. And I said, but we have a plan now to detoxify this landfill, and we need some money. And if you ever visited Frank Balance when he was in his office, he'd sit there behind his desk and look at you over the top of his glasses and say, And he said that. So we came up with the proposal for the $18 million. And as circumstances would have it, all the stars were aligned. The state wasn't broke. The senator had influence, and the money was obtained. And with that money, we went out to find the support that we needed to do this. Patrick Barnes is here. It was his team, his engineering team, that worked with us in the project management phase of this project and took this from what the people were promised to what the people wanted. And that's so very important, because as we look across this country, there are still so many places where people do not get the respect that they are owed, that decisions are still being made and impact their lives, and in a lot of ways, in a more stealth manner than has been in the past. And before you know it, these days, you look up and decisions have been made and actions have been taken and there's no turning back. So one day, if I ever get a chance to teach a course, it'll be about the public response to the government's decision, because there is a vast, vast need for our continuous participation and involvement. So the world owes Warren County a word of thanks, because so many other people have been enlightened and empowered to be responsible and in charge of their communities. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to be here. It's such a blessing, I started to sing a song, but I won't do it. But I feel good to be here, because every time I look upon your face, I feel good. I am the pastor of Oak Level United Church of Christ. Yes. Right? You need to own me, because the church building sits on Vance County and Warren County. The county line runs right through the building. Right through the building. I preach in Warren County, and people listen to me in Vance County, so you know that's good. Instant communication. All right. This is quite a story, because I heard a lot about Warren County, and I want to punch anybody's balloon. But you cannot talk about Warren County unless you talk about Vance Warren, because most of Vance County was a part of Warren County until the white folk decided that black folk had too much power in Warren County. So they took part of Warren County, a little bit of Granville County, a little bit of Franklin County, and made Vance County. But in reality, most of Vance County blacks are part of the original Warren County line. And if the white folk forget it, you don't forget it, because they always will try to divide us, but we are one. Can't we say that? We are one. Thank you. This, I feel good, because I am one of the few older people that can still stand, talk, and speak. I've been a pastor in Vance, Warren County for